Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be the focus point. The focal point is we're going to talk about the astrology for the week of May 4th through the 10th, 2025. So Sunday, May 4th through Saturday, May 10th, just before Mother's Day. So that's the beginning of next week. So let's talk about the astrology for this week. So the very first thing is that on May 4th, Pluto stations retrograde. The day I'm recording this, Pluto goes retrograde at 3 degrees of Aquarius. It's going to go back to 1 degree of Aquarius. It's going to station direct on October 13th, and it's just going to move forward from there. So when Pluto, the planet of death and transformation and regeneration and power, goes retrograde, this is a time where we are focusing on deeply analyzing and a deep contemplation of our past. Every planet moving retrograde is reviewing it, re-looking at whatever the matters of that planet and that sign indicates. So we're looking back on our past, reviewing our past transformations, our past uses of power. Past issues, especially it could be career issues or relationship issues or whatever 12 areas of life that this lights up for you. These types of issues could come to the surface for you to really be looked at. Things coming up for healing in our lives. Now this retrograde might bring to light because Pluto is closer to the Earth than it otherwise be. Pluto retrograde could bring up issues of jealousy and control. Um, and so we're thinking about how we're jealous of certain people. Whom are we jealous of? And why are we jealous of these people? And the need to always be in control of our environment. The need to be in total control, riding in the driver's seat all the time, stamping our steps in the bank, whatever that um multation of how we're stuck in our need for the three-dimensional reality for us to be in complete control of that, for us to be having to always hold down the fort. Now, Pluto is retrograde in a fixed air sign, Aquarius. Fixed signs are known for their willful quality, their stubborn quality. Aquarius can be very stubborn when it comes to their ideals, their principles, their intellectual values. And so we could see more control issues playing out on the global stage, more, fights, power games, all those kind of things coming to light at this time. This is the first full year of Pluto and Aquarius because the last 2 years, 2023, dipped in March and retrograded back into Capricorn June 11th. In 2024, in January, it moved into Aquarius, and then back for several months, starting from September through November. And ever since November 19, it's been in Aquarius full time, and it will not leave Aquarius until around about 2040. So, we're thinking deeply about matters when Pluto's retrograde. Any planet retrograde represents a course correction. This could be about bringing friends, bringing spouses, bringing lovers, and family members back together again. Really bringing people together and really communicating and thriving and living in a very soul connected, very deep, very authentic, genuine kind of way with people. This is about taking responsibility and accountability for our actions, for our manipulations, for our asserting ourselves, for those actions which bear consequences. And the consequences are really the fruits and vegetables that come up from that soil. So it's about trying to understand matters from a soulful perspective, seeing it from a spiritual lens is what this is all about. This marks a time of deep and profound introspection and reflection. We're going internal, we're going within with Pluto retrograde. And so any kind of experimenting, because Aquarius loves to experiment, Aquarius is very science related. It's very into experiments. And what are we to do when the sun's in Aquarius and in the northern hemisphere when it's super cold and we have to find creative ways of making the time go by. So we experiment, we try do different things out. Inside, of course, mostly. But anyway, um, experimenting makes us feel very empowered and very bright, very bold in a kind of malicious kind of way, but in a very interesting, curious way. This could bring to light intuition that we have not followed, that we have not trusted and gone in that direction. And it could also really, really bring to light issues that are going on in society which demand to be altered. These issues cannot keep going on and on. Things have to shift. With Aquarius, it could be AI, ChatGPT, technology. These types of things are really, really getting stirred in the pot of Capoletti that's getting stirred around. And when are we going to say, that's enough, stop stirring, throw it out, start again, change what those issues are all about? So, people at this time could suffer from unexpected physical conditions that are brought to consciousness during this time. Um, so physical conditions, especially related to Aquarius, which are very, very close to the fate, so these types of medical things can get heightened up. This is a time for deep inner healing. That's what this is all about. There could be people because we're so polarized now in America. Um, and so people could go back to the old ways of being. There's people that are pioneering and progressive and wants to innovate and wants to see the age of Aquarius. But there's a lot of people still stuck in the three-dimensional age of Pisces consciousness. Of being in control, creating your reality, not co-creating your reality. Um, just the old top-down structures and ways of being. And we've seen this for the past 16 years, I want to say, when Pluto's been in Capricorn. So we could see a lot of release and interchange. This is what it's all about, releasing the old habit patterns, the old ways of being, the old compulsions that are not serving us anymore, and change on an innermost level. So there could be power and control issues in your life that you're going through a review of these issues. You're you're reviewing how you're in control, how you're in power, and is that really serving you or is it not? And so your intense needs and ambitions and drives may rise to the surface at this time. Death and rebirth are very, very big themes with this. Um, and so brings intense needs and drives to the surface. On a global level, on a mundane level, it is associated with such things including big businesses, wealth, power. It could also be relating to the underground because Pluto deals a lot with the underhand tactics and those kind of things. And surgery, Scorpio, really cutting you open and changing you from the inside out, that kind of transformation. And Virgo and Scorpio together is the surgeon combo. So I bet there's a lot of very good surgeons who have Virgo Scorpio energy in their natal chart. because they're all about digging deep into things, analyzing things. That's sort of the gifts and the high road of Virgo and Sagittarius is one of their biggest attributes as sextile signs. And so dictators could come to light, people in power, um, genocide, those types of issues can come. And so when Pluto retrogrades, it retrogrades for 5 months out of the year, usually. So it's time to let people go if they have controlled you or manipulated you in very unhealthy ways. It's time to gently, but with high self-love, with high self-respect, with liberation enough to delete them from your life, to let them go, to live out of your house, to move away from them, to detach from them, however you can do that. This is about letting go of control of others and situations in your life. So you're releasing these types of things. What addictions or compulsions must you eliminate from your life that are not serving you? How are you attached to your relationships? Are you too attached to certain people? Are you too attached to certain outcomes? Where do you need to release that attachment? And so this could also be suspicion and racism could come to be very, very huge at this time. So that is a really, really big issue. And then what are the ways you can enrich both society and yourself? Assess how to transform. This is about really dealing internally with the transformation that Pluto brings us. And this offers us a chance to deal internally within ourselves about the power struggles going on in our own individual experiences. So then the next day, on May 5th, Mercury in the sign of Aries is making a very helpful sextile to Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. So Aries and Gemini are two signs apart, therefore they sextile each other. So this is about um, thinking about and really planning our future because we're more expansive thinking, we're more optimistic. We can see the pitfalls, but more often not, we can see the potentials of the more positive versions of the spin of our reality and the possible outcomes that could come from our optimism and our ambition and our drive. So this is all about excellent, we feel like we can make decisions very, very quickly. We're very, very decisive, very deliberate about this decision that we want to make. Our decisions that we make pay off. So you're feeling there's a greater sense of hope in the air with this transit, which is very, very good because a lot of people need a lot of hope right now. And so socializing with these kind of things, with these kind of referendums and these, this energy Mercury sextile Jupiter, this socializing is very deep, very fulfilling for us. We can find that in our communications and conversations, our um, communication is very diplomatic and very tactful. We're very about making peace. We may have greater concentration and increased curiosity that this transit can bring. It can also bring about a greater sense of the L card in the spirit animal oracle. You see clearly now. Clarity and wisdom. Um, you can also throw self-knowledge in the picture too, but anyway, this is good for planning and setting your intentions. So planning out your your future, your destiny, and setting your intentions for what you want to manifest in your reality. Um, and so your thoughts are very far reaching at this time. So you're actualizing your thought. Um, so there could be a lot of effective communication with those around you. This is about investing your mental energy into topics that expand your mind and broaden your perspectives, like broaden your perspective on life. Now, you're more about seeing the forest for the trees. You're more about getting above the power lines and seeing from the grid down to the stopping bricks in red. So you're very much about seeing the big picture and overlooking the small little details, which, because of the sex style, it really serves you at this time. It's important to not be too confident or too, um, overzealous when it comes to your goals and expectations, making sure that your goals and your promises are doable or attainable. So then the next day on May 6th, Venus in Aries at around 3 degrees of Aries sextiles Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius. Again, Aries and Aquarius are two signs apart. With this energy, we could find that we're feeling more passionate about love and the things that we value. Our passions are very aligned with what lights us up, what truly matters to us, what we truly appreciate in our lives is brought to the surface. We want to go deep into this. We want to dive deep into our areas of interest and our values. This is about becoming deeply involved with concerned about and attached to a person or possession. So we're very much embodying this now. There's a deep need for socialization and connection with others that can be brought to light. You're feeling like you want to, communicate, have conversations, those kind of things. And so an existing relationship may grow into something more spiritual and profound. So if that relationship was very low love and lust, now it can evolve to a much greater sense of spiritual love. You're taking the Venus and Taurus and you're uppity it to the Venus and Pisces. So any relationship that is surfacing and superficial will not please you. You want deep relationship. You want to dive into the soul of the person. Experiencing friendship and love on a more emotional level can be a big theme at this time. So I'm going deep into those emotions, really loving people from the inside out. You may have a mesmerizing and magnetizing effect on other people. You can find that your charm can enhance your relationships with others. This is very important not to manipulate and control others. And your relationships with others could become much closer, could become much closer to people in your life. Now, May 10th, the big event happening is that Mercury enters Taurus on May, and it's going to be there until May 25, the same day that Saturn ingresses into Aries, which we're going to talk about Saturn and Aries later on in this month. But anyway, what does it mean when Mercury, the planet of communication, intellect, and receiving information, enters the very slow, very stubborn, very grounded sign of Taurus? Well, what it means is, and I have Mercury in Taurus, so when Mercury hits 1 degree of Taurus, that's my Mercury return. I was actually born with Mercury stationary, standing still in the sky in my natal chart. Um, and it went retrograde in Taurus later on that day, and it moved back into Aries in the year that I was born. And so if I was born later, I could have been born with Mercury retrograde. And it's so fascinating because I was so close to being born with Mercury retrograde because both my parents have Mercury retrograde in their birth charts, and I barely had Mercury retrograde. I have Mercury stationary. So that's a really, really big influence in my life. But anyway, Mercury in Taurus, what does it mean? So our thinking is very solid, very rooted, very down to earth. We're feeling more grounded with our communications, which is great as an influence. Our words can also be more loving, more compassionate, um, more sensual words, sensual communication, and we put a lot of focus where food can feed your mind now, not just your body. Um, Food is very stimulating, and that's what I find because I have Mercury in Taurus. And so a lot of attention goes to those sensual things. And we may become very fixated on certain things, and it may be hard to shift our focus on being in the present because we may dig ourselves into a rut. That's the shadow side of Mercury in Taurus, and I certainly know that because I could be reading something and then fixating on another type of thing entirely. And so Mercury and Taurus people tend to repeat themselves depending upon other aspects of the chart. I have three planets in Gemini, so um, that counterbalances that, and likes to sort of talk about the same things over again because of how pleasurable it is. Although my Venus and Mars and Lilith are in Gemini, so that sort of counterbalances the need for stimulation, the need for novelty, the need for variety. So anyway, um, our thinking and our words are very deliberate. That's the thing with Mercury and Taurus is that we say things with Mercury and Taurus people, built these charts, we say what we mean what we say. Um, and so we prefer not, we're not very risk-taking in our communication. We're very country bumpkin. We're very, like to stick to the tried and true ways of doing, into the, traditions, the practical ways of how it's always been done. Not very, not the most open to new ideas, although I have my Gemini energy in my chart. My descendants also in Gemini, so that counterbalances that also. And then we're thinking about sensual things, sensory-oriented things. Um, at the low level, we can become more rigid, more stubborn in our thinking, more fixed in our thinking, more, um, you know, more, again, stubborn and rigid. So we have a lot of drive, a lot of confidence. We know what we're talking about during this time. We say things with such a strong conviction. This is about speaking in our mind and talking, taking our time while doing so, speaking very slowly, very purposefully, very deliberately. And so we're focused on the sensuality bits and the comforts of our material world. This can also pair very well with the fact of discerning what is and isn't important. Choosing to not engage our energy if it doesn't involve us or if it's too dramatic. Because Taurus, because I have my Mercury in Taurus, my North Node in Taurus. So on the path of evolution, I need to stop getting so involved in the drama of other people's business and focus more on my own life, my own values, and my Mercury placement really, really helps me to follow my North Node, although they're not, I don't think they're an aspect to each other in my chart. But anyway, so I know somebody with Mercury in Taurus and South Node in Taurus. I have the opposite of that. So this is about self, um, being self-assured and assertive. We're very assertive at this time, interestingly, but in a kind, Venusian kind of way. See, the thing with Taurus is that we have Uranus in Taurus, which is versed to change. We don't like change, we don't like disruption, we don't like chaos, we want order, we want the same old, we want to keep everything very battened down. So that's how we're thinking and how we're, our consciousness of how we're living at this time. So the ground that we walk upon, that we place our feet upon, must be stable for us. Um, and there's a focus on abundance, focusing more on the abundance, counting your blessings of all the material abundance that you have in your life. Great time to focus on your finances also. Patience, we're feeling more patient at this time, and we're feeling more prosperous also. So that is your astrology for the week of May 4th. I will see you back um, in the next video, which is going to be on the ascendant and the sign of Virgo in your natal birth chart. So I'm going to record that video right after I get done recording this video, because I prepped for that video when I was on my break from last week. And the reason that I haven't been posting is because I had an accident on Monday. I was going on my electric scooter and I thought that I was moving on solid ground as I was trying to go into the street, but I must have hit something, a crack or something, I don't know, and then I just all of a sudden out of the blue I fell and I landed face down on my teeth. And so there's this issue with that. So I've been dealing with that repercussions of it, sort of the consequences of it this week. So I needed a break. I'll get back to posting more regularly starting when? Starting now. So anyway, that's all I have to say in this video, everybody. Have a great week. Bye for now.